This is the Arlington County Board of Equalization hearings. There's 6 cases on our agenda today. The first case we're going to start with is RPC 14024-223. The property is located at 1045 North Stewart Street. The owner is Jarrett William, who is not here today. So we will hear directly from the county. Mr. King, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about this property, sir.
Good morning, board. This is a center unit townhome at 1045 North Stewart Street. It's 3.5 stories, built in 1998. We have a 1998 effective age, an excellent plus quality, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, and an integral garage. We did do an inspection on this property. Property appears in original condition. There were some minor square footage changes after the inspection, but nothing major. The big angle of the appellant's issues was that 1041 North Stewart, which is beside the subject property, was highly renovated. So they kind of did down to the studs and rebuilt it. It has, high-end kitchen, high-end bathrooms, that sort of thing. And they didn't want that being used in the analysis or being compared to their property. It was used in the analysis of the neighborhood. It was the only sale used in the analysis this year. But the department does acknowledge that the property is highly renovated. And this is reflected in the assessment. So we have this one assessed at about $1.4 million for 2022, which is $225,000 more than the subject property. So we're not comparing this property directly to the subject property, but what we are doing is looking at the ratio of the assessment to the sales price and then adjusting accordingly to look at the market demand for the neighborhood as a whole. We usually don't see these kind of major renovations on townhouses that are so, fairly new in 1998 construction. But it really isn't that different than valuations in a detached single-family neighborhood where you have a mixture of newer construction and older homes. Really what we're looking at we're looking at what the ratio is and then seeing if that value, is reflective of how much work has been put into the property compared to the subject property. So while that sale was renovated and using analysis, while we're adjusting values, we are also able to look historically and see how we feel about the revised values for 2022 compared to previous sales prices. So we thought they all looked lined up. As I wrote in the write-up, there are higher values in this neighborhood. So 507-841 over the past 10 years or so compared to 507-820, which is where a lot of the comparables that even the county and the appellants provided. Sometimes in a case like that, we just have to defer to some of the sales prices sometimes. I couldn't exactly tell you all the reasons why this unit, this property always sells more than 507-820. Maybe it's that it's a little bit closer to Boston Metro. There is a unified design across the whole project. They all have integral garages, 2-car integral garages within units. So that is reflected in the sales prices and the subsequent assessment values of the past 10 years. So for those reasons, the department recommends a confirmation of the 2022 assessment of $1,174,600. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions from board members? Mr. Yates.
The land value on this seems to have jumped considerably. I was looking at it from 18, it was at 4.25. It also, the appellant in the notes said that there were no parcels in this community sold in the last year. So, I mean, is the county just increasing land for townhouse developments on a percentage basis?
Go ahead. So what we're looking at is, when we do the sales analysis, we can adjust the land and then we can adjust other variables called the location multiplier. That affects the dwelling value. So we don't want that to get too high away from the cost to rebuild. So, if we start getting way too far away from what the actual cost to rebuild the property is, we'll try and put more of the value on the land. It's just a delicate balance between, weighing those two different valuations, but it's not always across the board. It's going to be based on sales analysis and what we see the neighborhood trending at and how much we can squeeze onto the improvement and how much we can squeeze onto the land.
Well, I definitely believe in the land value. A lot of properties, the value is in the land in Arlington. It's townhouses. I don't know if it's the same because you don't build townhouses like you do flip single properties.
Yeah, I mean, so if the land, if we kept the land steady, then the improvement would have just went up by that same amount, to cover that
Okay.
gap.
Okay, any other questions? Mr. Metzgen? Can you turn your microphone on, sir?
I didn't press hard enough. I'm sorry. I thought I was done. On pages for Mr. King, on pages 3 and 4, there is inspection and analysis, the Bromptons, and a bunch of other, the bottom of 3 and the top of page 4, similar properties in the immediate neighborhood. And these are townhouses that you looked at for comparison purposes, right?
Can you just
Better.
read one?
Better on the top of page 4, because two of them, the two most recent sales are, and you give them, but they're outside the analysis period.
Yeah, I mean, the two most recent
they
sales.
just barely squeak in.
So
Very,
the previous,
very beginning, yeah.
the 1,275,000 is from the previous analysis period. So that was used for the 2021 valuation. But those are the two most recent sales we have in that neighborhood, 1,275 and then 1,440.
Yeah. And my other, I mean, it's really on the edge. My other question is for in your comparable sheet, comps 2 and 3 are around, they're very close by. They're similar,
Sure.
But they're in different neighborhoods. You couldn't, I guess my question is, given this is pretty much untouched, the effective built, the year built and effective age are the same, so it hasn't been any subject to any renovations. Are there, in their neighborhood, in the Bromptons, are there similar properties similarly assessed?
Yeah, they
Just
are
for,
all
for assessment comparable purposes.
Yeah, they should all be fairly in line with. Here we go. Let's see. There's some slight square footage differences. The units are, most of the units are the same, but then there's some end units that are kind of strange. But yeah, they're all around 1.2, and then some of them that have updates, they get up into 1.3s. But they're probably one of the lower valued units in the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, Mr. King, do you have anything else?
No, that's all. Just looking at the, keeping in mind that while we did use a highly renovated property in the analysis, that value is $225,000 more than the subject property. So we feel that accurately reflects the updates that have been made to that sale property. And we recommend a confirmation of the 2022 assessment at $1,174,600. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's just among the board members. What's everybody think? Mr. Metzgen?
I'll just make Mr. King's point a little bit different. The difference between the highly renovated unit that sold versus the appellant's. The appellant's improvement is assessed at 40% less. 40%. It's a big number, and more than the dollars. That really, I think, reflects his older effective year versus this renovated comparable. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay, Mr. Penaranda, you were going to say something?
Yes, well, when we compare two neighborhoods that are similar, that are close by, a lot of times it has to do with management as far as values and prices. And, it's hard to tell why they sell lower, but historically they have sold lower. When I looked at the map that we have on page 7, you look at all the assessments of all the townhouses there. This is pretty much one of the lowest there. Mm-hmm. So I don't really see that it's out of line. I know that the department used one sale as a pretty much basis to make an adjustment on the assessments, but overall I think it's fair and with and equitable to all the owners. So I'm okay with it.
Okay. Agreement from the other two or anything contrary?
No contrary.
Okay. All right. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I move to confirm the assessment at $1,174,600.
Okay, and I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. The county's confirmed at $1,174,600. Thank you, Mr. King.
Thank you.
Is Tressa here?
I am.
Okay. Okay, so the next case on the agenda is RPC 03066098 at 3818 North Randolph Court. I believe Ms. Devine is also not appearing this morning.
That would be correct.
Okay. All right. Ms. Vitus, if you'd go ahead and tell us about this property then.
Will do. 3818 North Randolph Court is an in-unit townhouse built in 2001. This property has an effective age of 2001 and a quality of IB minus. The subject property was virtually inspected on March 3rd of 2022. As a result of the review, no changes were made to the record. The appellant states that they believe that their home is in poor condition and has had very little maintenance. They would like the cost to be incurred to bring the property to its assessed value. No further information was provided by the appellant. The recent sales listing from November 6th of 2020 was reviewed and used to confirm the interior information. The home was purchased for cash at asking price of $1,650,000 in November of 2020. Using the interior photos from the 2020 sale, the property appears to be in line with the current quality and effective age. This unit is within an 8-home townhouse neighborhood. All of the homes within the neighborhood have a quality rating of IB minus. Any maintenance issues would fall under deferred maintenance, which is already being accounted for in the subject's effective age. Based on the available information, the county recommends that the current assessment of $1,745,600 be confirmed. That being said, in preparation for my presentation, I found that this property was currently listed on May 6th for $1,949,000. As of May 9th, the sale went from active to pending. I spoke with the selling agent and found that the house has actually sold for slightly above $2 million. In the listing notes, it was mentioned that several updates throughout the home have been made since the 2020 sale, including updates to the kitchen, baths, windows, and HVAC system. These updates were done in both 2021 and 2022 with no permits filed. These changes will be noted in the record and reflected in the 2023 assessment. Thank you.
Well, that explains why we don't have an owner, but okay. Any questions from any board members?
No.
I think that's summed up pretty nicely. All right, is there anything else you need to tell us?
No. I think it's
All
pretty
right,
straight.
then it's just among the board members. I would assume no one's got any issues with this. So that
No,
being
unless
said,
the new
I will
owner
move-
shows up.
Pardon me?
Unless the new owner shows up at the last minute.
Yeah. Well, that would be for next year. So then I will
Yeah.
go ahead and move to confirm the 2022 assessment at $1,745,600. Do I have a second? Mr. Hoffman has seconded it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. It's unanimous. The county is confirmed at $1,745,600. Thank you.
Short and sweet.
Okay, I believe I saw Miss Ayers come into the lobby.
Yes, correct. I
Okay.
have joined the call.
All right, moving to the third case on the agenda, RPC 2801616 at 1216 South Columbus Street. Miss Ayers, you can turn your camera on and you have 8 minutes to tell us about your property.
Good morning, all. I actually do not have a camera on my computer, so sorry. You will be you will be looking at a blank screen. I was going to try and see if I could screen share a document, but I'm not sure that that's going to work. So I will hold off on that. But yes, I purchased 1216 South Columbus Street in August for $526,000. This was part of an estate sale, but there was a bidding war. It still sold for under asking in an as-is condition. So this is one of those original 1940s townhome, single-family homes built in the colonial style by the Defense Housing Corporation for married officers working at the Pentagon in the 40s. So this home, I believe, has a much older effective age because the previous owner lived there from 1964 through 2020, and no updates had been made since at least the early 1970s. I think I had sent documents with photos attached. I'm not sure if you all received those. and I pulled relevant comps because in the Columbia Forest neighborhood, every other home is exactly the same. So I looked at both recent sales and the neighborhood current assessments to see what I would assess as a fair market value. So I came to a proposed assessment of $529,400 for parity with a comparable assessment of RPC 28016-001 at 1841 South George Mason Drive. This is on the same block as my house. It is the exact same colonial house, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, but it is currently assessed at $58,100 less than mine. So given the extent of work that needs to be done to bring my home up to neighborhood standard, I still feel that the assessment that was reduced from $587,500 to $568,700 is still too high. I've already replaced the unsafe Federal Pacific panel, and the galvanized plumbing will need to be replaced. All of the windows will need to be replaced. The HVAC will need to be replaced, et cetera, et cetera. So there are very significant updates that need to be made just to bring it up to a baseline on par with the neighborhood. I also had a question. When I was sent the documents that showed more recent sales prices, they went through, I think, let's see, I think December of 2021. I don't have them in front of me right now. I'm out of town and I left them on my kitchen table. But I just wanted to make sure that the assessment period was supposed to be August through August. But all in all, that is, that's kind of my brief summary. I hope that my PowerPoint, I made a nice little PowerPoint to kind of demonstrate the current situation. Oh, here we go. I should be able to screen share now. Here we go. So can you all see this?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is the home. I love it very much, but I do think it's set too high. So here are some of the comps in which I found the RPCs and kind of the same, looking at other 2-bedroom, 1-bath properties, because a lot of the sales in the neighborhood were new builds where these homes had been torn down and lot-to-lot builds had been made. And then, so here's an example of the kitchen and the bath and why it is, I believe, currently below neighborhood standard. And then the living and dining room. There were significant cracks in the area, in the bedrooms. Oh, one moment. Okay, so sorry about that. So yeah, here are some examples of the kind of issues that I've been dealing with in the home, and then the basement that will need some waterproofing as well as window replacements. So this is just a very brief overview of current state of my property and why I was able to purchase it in a bidding war for $526,000 in August of 2021. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can you pull down your screen share, please? Thank you. Okay, and Mr. Ulysses for the county.
All right. Good morning, board. Hope everyone is doing well. Today, my first case of the year consists of a single-family home in the Columbia Forest neighborhood. It's a 2-story brick house over basement with 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, built in 1946 with an effective age of 1956 and a quality of average. Appellant's main grievance is her sales price of $526, which was derived from an estate sale. And then the comps that she provided, most of them, especially the ones on George Mason, are receiving an outside influence adjustment for being on George Mason. So if you account for that, everything falls in line, as well as whichever comp she provided that was not on George Mason actually tends to be a smaller lot with a smaller improvement. That being said, when this case was first brought to our attention at the review level, when we initially reviewed the sale, MRIS didn't provide many interior pictures, so we kind of did, the best we could from the street. Upon the review, she submitted interior information, which we were able to see and rectify the effective age. As a result, we lowered it to about 1956, which is pretty low, almost original, all things considered. That being said, everything was treated the same as far as mass appraisal is concerned. When all adjustments are accounted for, whether it's outside influence, effective age, quality of the home, the property seems to fall right in line with the standard for the neighborhood. That's it for my opening.
Okay, thank you. Questions from board members? Mr. Hoffman.
Yeah, what was the adjustment for the George Mason Drive frontage?
It is 5%.
5%
Negative
on the
5%.
land?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
any other
And
questions?
I just wanted to confirm I'm looking at the property card. It looks like you don't have finished basement in there, right? It's considered an unfinished basement?
The subject?
Yes.
Yes, it's unfinished.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Mr. Penaranda?
Yes, I have a question for the department. Would you have the information on one of the comparables that the appellant provided? It's the address is 5145 11th Street. It's RPC 28006-019. I wanted to see if you have the effective age for that property.
1968.
1968. Okay. And was that used in any way for the assessment? I mean, that property sold and it's in very good condition, renovated.
Well, it was bought by an LLC, sold as is. As far as in the analysis, you can see on the analysis sheet if it was included.
Mm-hmm.
That is on page. Where is it? In the packet, you'll see all the sales that were included. This is past her pictures. On page 3. You can see all the sales analysis that was provided for the neighborhood.
Right. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
No? Okay. Mr. You'll see if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Like the appellant said, this was listed on MRIS, but per the deed, it was an estate sale. As a result, I think the appellant got a good deal on her purchase here in Arlington County. Given the conditions, the corrections that were made per the appeal here, I feel the information on file is now accurate with the effective age as far as quality and effective age and square footage is concerned. So that being said, without there really being an error in fact, I feel 568,700 can be confirmed as fair and equitable.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Ayers, if you take a minute to wrap up.
Yes, thank you. I will say South Columbus Street is also a very, very busy road. Obviously not quite as busy as South George Mason, but pretty close. There's a major cut through to Columbia Pike and George Mason. So I would be interested in that being taken into consideration. Regardless, I think the homes where the assessments are in the 550s are comparable. So I just would like for that to be taken into consideration as well as those homes were all completely remodeled and are also still assessing as more than $10,000 to $20,000 less than my property. But thank you both so much for your consideration, and I do really appreciate Mr. Yelchi taking into consideration the photos I submitted. Thank you all for your time.
Okay, thank you both. Okay, it's just among the board members. What's everybody think on this one? Mr. Matzkin.
As it happens, I know this neighborhood very, very well and have a listing 100 feet away, and it's very comparable. So I was just fine with everything until I noticed during the wrap up, the comparable three, the subject and the three comparables are all in the same neighborhood. They're all very similar homes, similar lot sizes, but in comparable three, it's virtually the same lot size, but percentage-wise, a good bit lesser assessment, again, for the land specifically. And as we know, the land usually is the primary constituent of the total assessment. And I didn't see it in time to ask the department why that is. I mean, if I were the appellant, I guess I'd say that's where the assessment ought to be lowered because the improvements seem perfectly reasonable to me. Anybody have a guess at why that might be, or should we just move on? Because I know we can't ask the department. It just stuck out as a
No, I don't know. Mr. Panorama, do you know?
I also know the neighborhood. Some of those lots in that specific area going up 11th Street, Columbus Street, they are smaller, and they also have easements for driveways for houses that are behind, specifically on South Columbus, that are on the other side, across the street from where you have the listing. I think your listing is on the 11th something. 11, it's on 1100 block. That's the only guess that I can think of, and some of them are, I know, smaller. So when the easements are there, of course, they cut through the lot itself for driveways to access in the back. But other than that, I'm not sure.
Well, otherwise, and also Dinwiddie's up on the hill, you know,
Right.
maybe it's just not usable. I think we have to assume that the department has assessed this fairly based on the specifics of it. Isn't in this case, these compare two properties. But I just wanted to bring it up. Maybe we should just set it down now. Thanks for your insight.
No, that's a good point. But I mean, when you look at the plat map, though, that they did include, the properties adjoining it on South Columbus, they seem to all be assessed. If you look at, can you see that, Ken?
I'm not in the plat map, but I see that comparables 1 and 2 are perfectly reasonably assessed vis-a-vis the lot sizes. It was just this one Dinwiddie, you know, a block and a half away, and it seemed odd. But again, I bet it's on the hill or easements or something that Jose said.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah. Well, the only other thing that caught my attention was on the condition of the property, that, you know, being as is and being as an original, in the original condition, you know, from years ago, compared to some of these other sales, like the one on Dinwiddie, 11th Street. You know, you can look at the pictures and they have, you know, Korean counters and all renovated, even though they sold as is, but they were sold renovated, except that those two properties are only 2-level. A few of them have a basement that, you know, it's usable if you finish it, because the furnace and all that stuff is going to be in the basement. So that adds value to it. Because my original reaction was, you know, why is the other one assessed at 549 or 556 and this one is more? But I think to me, that makes a difference.
Okay, Mr. Huffman?
Yeah, Ken, I just found the street view picture of comp 3, and it's like from the street, you've got like a 12-foot retaining wall to get up. So you gotta hike up these stairs to get to the front porch, and it's just a really tough grade. You guys you guessed it, but it's the grade. I think the grade is the issue.
We have a
Thank you.
5% negative adjustment on it,
Yeah.
like Greg
There
said.
you go. Yeah, well, thank you for chiming in. That's
And
the answer.
Mr. Yates?
One of the things that caught my eye initially in looking at it is, since the 2018, you've gone up 150,000 in land value, which I totally get. But the property that's gone and changed has gone up from 65,000 to now 85,000, with nothing being done to this house itself. Land value, move it, but the improvement itself, it's changing a lot.
I'm not sure I understood that. It said revised 66,004.
60. Oh,
Yeah, you're looking at the original.
I'm looking at the card. Right.
Okay, good.
Good.
Now all of a sudden it's,
It's more in line.
in line. Thank you.
And that, which is justification for the county, did bring it down in line.
Yeah, because they looked at the improvements inside and saw that there was older stuff, older than they had understood.
All right.
Okay, well, would then somebody like to make a motion?
I'll go. Go ahead, Ken.
I need the visibility. I move that we accept the county's assessment of $587,500.
I'll second that.
Wait, I'm
It's a
sorry.
reduced.
No, hold on. Ken, you just made the
I'm
wrong.
sorry, 500, no, the reduced amount. Thank you, Mary. Of
Okay, so you're doing the county's reduced number of 568,700.
Right.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table from Mr. Matskin. Do we have a second? Okay, second with Mr. Penaranda. All in favor to reduce it to the county's recommended number of 568,700? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so it's unanimous. It's reduced to the county's recommended number of 568,700. Thank you. Okay. Do we have Mr. Ricks? I didn't see him come in. Okay, so we'll move to the fourth case, which is RPC 280200014 at 2220 South Dinwiddie Street. Mr. Ricks is not here, so we will just hear again from Mr. Ulysses for the county.
All right, let's see. Good morning again. I think this is my last case of the year. Hopefully, I didn't jinx myself. That being said, this case consists of a two-story over basement single-family home built in 1947 with an effective age of 1965 and a quality of average plus. Appellant's grievance with this is his sales price. According to my research, it was an open market sale, but it just seems to be more of an outlier as opposed to a indicator of the neighborhood. He's also has disagreements with the difference between purchase price of assessed value compared to others in his neighborhood. And then he's also upset about the fact that his improvement value was increased, even though nothing was done to the property. As far as the county is concerned, we update records all the time. We have no control as how accurate they are when they come in. Our job is to make them accurate when we see them. That being said, as far as the arm's length transaction for the neighborhood, the quality and the effective age for this particular property seems in line. As far as being in line with the neighborhood, all the corrections that we were eligible to make and keep it equalized with the neighborhood were done. And that was about it. I mean, the appellant didn't really provide any comps. He just stated that his mortgage loan was lower, but I couldn't verify, so I couldn't see where they were pulling their comps from. As far as our comps, they're all valid open market sales within the neighborhood, which is how we came up with the value.
Okay, thank you. Questions from board members? No? All right, Mr. Ulysses, anything else you need to tell us?
Just gonna, one sale doesn't make the market. This one seems to be an outlier when you look at the big picture. And as far as mass appraisal is concerned, grade, quality, effective age, all seem to be in line with the neighborhood. So from a mass appraisal standpoint, everything looks in line as fair and equitable. 625, 200, as far as the county is concerned, can be confirmed as fair and equitable.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, it's just among the board members. It's difficult when you don't have information from the appellant to support his claim, but what's everybody think on this? Mr. Metzgen? Turn your microphone on, please.
I'm not very strong. I'm not pressing hard enough. I'm sorry. What came down to me is that of the four comparables, the two that most closely met the effective age. Comparables 1 or 2 are from this millennium, but the other two are not. And the appellant's improvements certainly compare favorably against those two that are, effective ages of, 40, 50 years ago, even though once you get the difference between 40 and 60 is just not particularly relevant. So I think I'm on the side of the department on this. I just can't imagine the appellants being unfairly assessed.
Mr. Penaranda.
Yeah, I mean, we have really no information on this case. The appellant didn't provide anything to be able to make any change, or just relying on Zillow or any other website to make a change based on whatever number you get. When you pull like that, it's not a reliable form to make any change. So based on that, the burden of proof is on them. So I don't see how we can make any change.
No, I agree 100%. All right, any other discussion? No, then I will move to confirm the county's assessment at 652,200. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Penaranda is a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. County's confirmed at 652,200. Do we have Mr. Shaffa?
No. Yes, hi, I'm back on the screen. Yes.
Okay, great. All right, then we'll move right into yours then. So the fifth case is RPC 360200017 at 708 20th Street South. Mr. Shaffa, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about your property, sir.
Yes, hi there, everyone. So this is a very old 2-story house built in, I believe, 1920. It's a Sears Roebuck home, and the dimensions are very small. It has had no upgrades. In the main home, there was an addition placed. Sorry, I cannot remember the exact date, but macroscopically as well as microscopically, there were issues. Like I mentioned, in terms of the home interior, there was really no like kitchen upgrades. Everything has been essentially original. And there was an addition that was placed, like I said, many years ago. So when we purchased the property, we had a lot of issues. One is we had a lot of water issues in the yard and into the basement, and I try to provide some photos for you guys. We actually had to have the house excavated and have like exterior waterproofing done to prevent water from getting in. We had the addition of the home has wood siding and it was like unfinished. We had a bunch of carpenter bees as well as termites. So we had to actually get them all redone, removed, replaced, and the wood was rotten even on the side addition of the house. When we received the assessment for this year, we looked at the properties near us, and I think you have the updated list of some of the properties. Even some of our neighbors who have newer homes were valued less than ours. And so hence part of the macroscopic concern was that we were overvalued compared to even some of the neighbors. Given the fact that we've had internal issues as well as external macroscopic issues with the neighborhood. So some of the neighborhood sales that we provided were the ones that we thought was somewhat comparable with a similar lot size and even sold less than ours. And so for those reasons, we thought it was reasonable to appeal the assessment.
Is that it?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you. Okay, Mr. Yabar for the county, please.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good morning. My name is Jorge Jabbar. I'm representing Arlington County Real Estate Assessment Department. And I'd like to share my screen to show some of the pictures that I have about the property. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, so just to give some context to the board, this house is 708 20th Street South. It's located in Arlington Heights / Aurora Highlands. Yes, it was built in 1920. It's a two-story frame with a finished basement. It's 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The original house only had 1 bathroom on the plans on the original design, but a second bathroom was added with the addition in the back, the 1-story addition that the homeowner is mentioning. The house was sold in September 5th, 2020 for $970,000. The lot is 6,000 square feet, zone R6. For this neighborhood, our land value for an average buildable lot is $750,000. So that's the baseline for the land value. I also, I'm showing here the properties that the homeowner provided as a comparables. You can see the subject property is a 2-story frame house. And actually the comparables provided by the homeowner are 1.5-story with finished attics or one story with finished basements. I understand that he might be calculating the total livable area of the house, including the finished basements and the finished attic, but these fall into a different group of houses. These are considered 1.5-story, and the subject is a 2-story with a full second floor house. Also, the footprint of the house is much larger due to the presence of, due to the addition on the back. So there is a reason why these houses are selling for less. There is a difference in the sales price because of that reason. It's only 1 story with finished attic. It's not a full second story. So you can see the pictures here. And talking about the condition of the house, yes, the house was built in 1920, but there was some renovations done to the house. So you can see the pictures of the bathrooms that were updated. There's some renovations to the bathrooms. Also, the interior of the house is well maintained. You can see the pictures. The house looks in good condition, livable. The photo on top is actually from the addition in the back. So you can see from the information that I had available or the department have access to the interior photos, it shows that the house is in good condition, is livable, and is well maintained. It also shows some upgrades made, through the years. You can see the original house was a 2-story section, plus the addition in the back actually doubles the footprint of the house, plus the wood deck and patio. Addressing the concern of the homeowner due to the condition of the house, I revised the quality grade of the property from good plus to good minus. That's actually two grades down. I understand that the house was built in 1920. I also review the properties that are surrounding this house, recent sales, and I consider that was necessary to make an adjustment to the quality of the property. The result of this adjustment was that the buildings part of the assessment was reduced, and the total assessment also was revised down. So the final computation of the new revised value is $960,700. If we compare that to the sales price, it gives us a ratio of 0.99, which is in line with the neighborhood, which I can show here. I'm showing here that the ratio of the neighborhood is 0.989. So it's perfectly in line with the neighborhood ratio. So my recommendation will be to confirm the revised valuation of $960,700 for this property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. Can you?
Can I comment on some of the
No, hold on.
Okay.
Can we take the screen share down?
Yes.
There we go. Okay, and Mr. Shaffer, you'll have a chance to comment after we go to questions now. So we've got questions from board members. None? Okay. All right, then, Mr. Yabar, if you have 1 minute to tell us anything else about the property.
I can say that I have received the homeowner concerns. I spent time reviewing the property records. I have addressed the issue of the age and conditions of the house. My recommendation is actually to make a reduction on the proposed 2022 assessment. And my recommendation to the board is to confirm this new evaluation at $960,700 for 2022.
Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Shaffer, now you have a minute to tell us any other comments about your property.
So I know that the pictures that were shown were some of them were from the staging that were done from the sale. I will have to say that the original home, the upstairs, is extremely small. While there is 1 bathroom and 3 small bedrooms, we cannot even get 1 whole bed up there because of the twist of the stairs. So it's very small dimensions. I know that some of the comparisons that I provided, maybe 1.5 stories, but at least their story probably has room for a whole bed. So we had to actually get split mattresses to take it upstairs. So for those reasons, I think it's very comparable to some of the 1.5 stories because of the very extreme small dimensions of the home. And then I feel like the assessment does not take into account the issues that we've had since we've had the home in our possession, including the water damage, the pest issues, the siding that requires repairs. So I think some of the pictures, I appreciate they were from the original sale, but they don't also take into account the microscopic issues that we've had to experience and the amount of payments that we've had to make for repairs.
Okay.
So I feel like 960 is a little bit inflated for what I think our home is actually valued.
Okay. All right. Thank you both. Okay. Now it's just among the board members. What's everybody think? Mr. Penaranda?
Yeah, I'll start. I think some of the last issues that the homeowner mentioned are, issues that you're going to see in maintenance of a property. A lot of that stuff, maybe could have been discovered or doing a better inspection when the property was bought. But, I think most homeowners are going to have problems with some water issues, some pest problems, but I don't think that really justifies making a reduction to value of properties that are really, in my opinion, like Mr. Yabar said, I think they were smaller. And I don't think we really compared colonial two-level properties to, Cape Cods or Ramblers with attic. So based on that and based on the sales price of the property, I'm okay with the revised assessment.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think the comps presented from the appellant are comps. And I'll be honest, I think the adjustment to the 960 is very generous from the county on this. So, Mr. Metzgen?
I dovetail off the two of you. First, Mary's going down 2 levels from good plus to good minus is a big jump that we don't often see. And therefore, as the department said, I think they've adjusted for some of the fundamental issues of the improvement. The other part is that really all the increase from last year to this, as per usual, is in the land. The neighborhood did pretty well. The value of the land went up, and so the total assessment went up. This seems to be reasonable to me.
Okay, anything different from anyone else? All right.
No.
Would somebody like to make a motion then?
I'll move that we accept the revised assessment as a reduction to 960,700.
Okay, and Mr. Metzgen is the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. It's reduced to the county's recommended reduction of 960,700. Thank you, Mr. Schaffa.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have Mr. Pojeninek on? I didn't see him.
No.
Okay. All right, we will proceed without the appellant. The last case on the agenda is RPC 3703014 at 2728 South Arlington Ridge Road. Mr. Yabar, you can start and tell us with your 8 minutes about this property, sir.
Jorge, you're muted.
Yes, hello. So again, 2728 South Arlington Ridge Road. I performed an exterior inspection on the property. I verified as a 2-story brick house with finished attic. It's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bathrooms with a finished basement. And the current effective age is 1990 and the quality is good. I also reviewed the properties used as a comparables provided by the homeowner. He mentioned 22nd Street South, 22nd South Arlington Ridge. He mentioned that the house went through a renovation. This house, last year when I went to inspect this property, was still under construction. So the assessment is not the fully 100% complete assessment as the house when is fully finished. It will be supplemented for 2022. The other comp, 2721 South Arlington Ridge Road, which is across the street, sold for $1,438,500. It's a 17,000 square feet lot. Our assessment is also lower than the sales price, but this sale was late on the year in 2021. It was in November, so it's outside of our analysis cycle. So this sale actually will be used to prepare next year's assessment. So we have that information, and we are thinking that the main driver of the sales price is actually the land value. Again, actual support that the trend is that the land value in that area is increasing. Also, the homeowner mentioned that the sales price, well, after reviewing the property record, my only recommendation was to make an adjustment on the effective age from 1990 down to 1980 due to the current conditions of the house. And my proposed valuation for this house will be $882,200. So again, I review the homeowner concerns, review the property record. I visit the properties that he mentioned as a comparables. I explained to the board that there are some reasons for we have the assessment at the level that it is. And my recommendation is to confirm the revised valuation of $882,200 for this property. Thank you.
Okay, questions from board member, Mr. Hoffman.
Yeah, just, you mentioned that it was under construction. I don't see a permit active on it. So, I mean, can you just talk about when you went for the inspection, what the extent of the construction and where they were in the process?
Oh, 22 South Arlington Ridge. Yes. Well, they have a two-story addition in the back of the house. I would say it's 75–80% complete right now. But last year in 2021, when I went to visit, I actually took pictures of the house, of the addition, and the interior was basically just frame. There was no drywall, there was no finishings, just frame. So that's why we didn't, did the full assessment of the property 100% complete. But eventually it will get a supplemental for this year. I mean, I'm working on to complete that for this year. The assessment will be revised.
That's the subject property, or that's one of the comparables you're describing?
Oh yeah, it's one of the comparables that the homeowner
Okay.
is mentioning. It's actually on the same street, just two houses.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't see the permit then. Okay,
Mhm.
thanks.
Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, Mr. Ybarra, is there anything else you need to tell us about it?
No, again, I did address the concerns of the homeowner. I made small corrections on the effective age of the property based on the conditions of the house. In my revised valuation, I like to confirm as $882,200 for 2022. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, it's just among the board members. What's everybody think? I mean, I think, as he said, he's done a good job to, address the issues, some of the issues that the owner brought up. I myself am okay with the revised number. What do other people
I am
think?
too.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
I agree. I'm okay with it.
Appears favorable, the improvements to the comparables.
Okay. All right, well then I will move to accept the county's revised number of $882,200. Do I have a second? Okay, Mr. Matzkin, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. It's reduced to the county's recommended revision of $882,200. Thank you, everybody. That concludes the agenda. Does anybody have any business that they need to discuss? No? Rosa, are the cases for next week, are those going to go out?
They already went out.
They did? Oh, I don't think I
Yes.
have them yet. Okay, I'll have to take another look. I didn't see them.
Let
Okay,
me know if anything. I sent them out, but let me know.
Yeah,
okay,
we've got 'em.
well, definitely. All right, and then we're working on the week of the 1st, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
No, we don't have, I had sent you an email for June 1st.
okay, well, I emailed Rick yesterday and they're gonna work on putting some stuff on that, so. All right, well, if that is it, that concludes today's business, so we will stand adjourned at 10:02 and re-adjourn next week on Tuesday, the 24th at 9 a.m.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.